I came home from work that day expecting the usual, dinner on the table, the sound of the TV in the background, and my wife, Jessica, humming one of her favorite tunes. Instead, I found an unfamiliar man's jacket draped over our living room sofa. My heart pounded as I tried to process the scene before me. The jacket was unmistakably masculine, a sleek black leather with a scent that wasn't mine. A cold dread seeped into my veins as I stood frozen in the doorway, trying to steady my breath. Jessica's voice echoed from the direction of our bedroom, accompanied by a low, unfamiliar male voice. I walked slowly, my feet feeling heavy with each step. The voices became clearer. They were laughing. I reached our bedroom door and paused, my hand hovering over the doorknob. With a deep breath, I pushed the door open. There they were, Jessica, my wife of 10 years, and a man I had never seen before. They jumped apart, guilt splashed across their faces as they turned to face me. The room fell into an uneasy silence, thick with tension and unspoken accusations. "Who is he?" I demanded, my voice trembling with a mix of anger and fear. Jessica stepped forward, her eyes wide with panic. "This is Mark," she said, glancing nervously at the stranger. "We met at the dance festival last weekend." I stared at her, my mind racing. "Dance festival?" "Yes," she replied, her voice barely above a whisper. "Remember? I told you I was going to that festival in the next town over." The memory came back in a rush. Jessica had been excited about the dance festival for weeks, talking about it non-stop. I had encouraged her to go, thinking it would be a fun escape from our routine. Now, it seemed, it had been much more than that. Mark, tall and lean with a confident air, stepped forward, extending his hand. "I'm Mark," he said, his voice calm and smooth. "I didn't mean for things to happen like this." I ignored his hand, my focus entirely on Jessica. "What's going on, Jess?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. Jessica took a deep breath, her eyes filling with tears. "I met Mark at the festival," she began. "We danced together, and there was a connection. Something I haven't felt in a long time." Her words hit me like a punch to the gut. I had sensed a distance growing between us, but I had never imagined it would lead to this. "A connection?" I repeated, struggling to keep my voice from breaking. "We spent the entire festival together," she continued, tears now streaming down her face. Dancing, talking, it was like we were in our own world. And when I came back home, I couldn't stop thinking about him. I clenched my fists, anger and hurt swirling inside me. "So you brought him here? To our home?" Jessica nodded, her face a picture of regret. I didn't know what else to do. I was confused. I needed to see him again, to understand what I was feeling. Mark stood silently beside her, his presence a stark reminder of the betrayal unfolding before me. I looked at him, then back at Jessica. "And now?" Jessica wiped her tears, her voice trembling. "I don't know, Tom. I don't know what to do. I'm so sorry." The room seemed to close in around me, the weight of her confession pressing down on me. I took a deep breath, trying to steady myself. "We need to talk," I said finally, my voice barely more than a whisper. "But not now. Not like this." Jessica nodded, her eyes filled with a mix of relief and sorrow. Mark turned to leave, and as he walked out the door, the reality of what had just happened began to sink in. I stood there staring at the space he had occupied, feeling like my world had just been shattered into a million pieces. I barely slept that night. The image of Jessica and Mark, their faces flushed with the guilt of discovery, replayed in my mind over and over again. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw that damn jacket on the sofa, a symbol of everything that had gone wrong. I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, listening to the steady rhythm of Jessica's breathing beside me. How could she sleep so peacefully after what had happened? Morning came too quickly. I dragged myself out of bed, feeling as if I hadn't slept at all. Jessica was already in the kitchen making coffee. She looked up when I entered, her eyes tired and puffy. She had clearly been crying. "Tom, we need to talk," she said softly, breaking the silence. I nodded, pouring myself a cup of coffee and sitting down at the table. "Yeah, we do." Jessica took a deep breath, as if steeling herself for what was to come. "I'm so sorry about last night, about everything. I never meant for this to happen." "I know you didn't," I replied, my voice harsher than I intended. "But it did, and now we have to deal with it." She nodded, her eyes filling with tears again. It all started at the dance festival, she began, her voice trembling. I was so excited to go, you know? I thought it would be a fun weekend away, a chance to do something different. I remembered how enthusiastic she had been, how she had talked about it nonstop for weeks. I had encouraged her, thinking it would be good for her to have some time to herself. Now, I wished I had never suggested it. When I got there, she continued, it was everything I had hoped for. The music, the energy, the people. It was amazing. And then I met Mark. I clenched my jaw, trying to keep my anger in check. What happened when you met him? Jessica's voice softened. We were paired up for a dance workshop. From the moment we started dancing, there was this connection. It was like we understood each other without needing to speak. Her words stung. I had never seen her so passionate, so alive. It was clear that Mark had awakened something in her that had been dormant for a long time. We spent the whole festival together, she said, her voice barely above a whisper. We danced, we talked, we laughed. It was like we were in our own little world. I felt things I hadn't felt in years, Tom. It was like I was finally alive again. I took a deep breath, trying to process everything she was saying. And when you came home? Jessica wiped her tears, her hands trembling. I couldn't stop thinking about him, about how he made me feel. I tried to push it away, but it was like he was always there, in the back of my mind. And then he came to our town for a performance, and I couldn't resist seeing him again. Her confession hit me like a ton of bricks. I had known something was off, but hearing it from her own lips made it all too real. Why didn't you tell me? I asked, my voice choked with emotion. I was scared, she admitted. Scared of what it would mean for us, scared of hurting you. And I was ashamed. Ashamed of what I was feeling, of what I had done. We sat in silence for a moment, the weight of her words hanging in the air. I felt a mixture of anger, hurt, and a strange sense of understanding. I had seen the spark in her eyes when she talked about the festival, but I had never imagined it would lead to this. What do we do now, Jess? I asked finally, my voice barely more than a whisper. Jessica looked at me, her eyes filled with a mix of hope and despair. I don't know, Tom. I don't know what the future holds for us, but I want to try to make things right. I want to try to fix this. I nodded, my mind still reeling from everything she had told me. We'll figure it out, I said, though I wasn't sure I believed it myself. But it's going to take time, and it's going to be hard. Jessica reached across the table and took my hand, her touch both familiar and foreign. I know, she said softly, but I'm willing to try if you are. I looked into her eyes, searching for any sign of the woman I had fallen in love with so many years ago. Okay, I said finally, let's try. And as we sat there, holding hands across the kitchen table, I realized that this was just the beginning of a long and painful journey. But for the first time since I found that jacket, I felt a glimmer of hope. A week had passed since Jessica's confession, and though the wound was still raw, I found myself trying to understand how it all began. Jessica suggested we take a walk in the park to talk more, away from the house and its reminders of what had happened. As we walked, she started to recount her experience at the dance festival. The festival was everything I dreamed it would be, she began, her eyes distant as she recalled the memories. It was held in this charming town with cobblestone streets and colorful banners everywhere. The air was filled with music and the scent of food from the street vendors. Everyone was there to dance and enjoy themselves. I nodded, picturing the scene. Sounds lively. It was, she said with a wistful smile. On the first day, I signed up for a dance workshop. They paired us up with different partners for each dance. That's when I met Mark. My stomach tightened at the mention of his name, but I forced myself to listen. What was he like? Mark was different, she said thoughtfully. He was confident but not arrogant. He had this way of making me feel like I was the only person in the room when we danced. He was patient, kind, and so talented. When we danced, it felt effortless. I could see the light in her eyes as she spoke about him, and it hurt. What did you talk about? Everything and nothing, she replied. We talked about our favorite dances, our dreams, our lives. He told me about his travels, his performances, and how he fell in love with dancing. And I told him about us, about how we met, about our life together. I felt a pang of betrayal. You talked about us? Yes, she said, her voice softening. I wasn't trying to hide anything, Tom. At that point, It was just conversation. But as the festival went on, I started to realize how much I enjoyed his company, how alive I felt when I was with him. She paused, taking a deep breath. One night, there was a big dance party under the stars. The music was playing and everyone was dancing. Mark and I found a quiet spot away from the crowd. We started dancing, just the two of us. It was magical, like something out of a movie, and then he kissed me. I closed my eyes, trying to block out the image. Why didn't you stop it? I don't know, she admitted, tears welling up in her eyes. I should have, but in that moment I didn't want to. I felt something I hadn't felt in a long time, something I had been missing, and I let it happen. The pain in her voice mirrored my own. And when you came back home? I was a mess, she said, wiping her tears. I was confused, guilty, and scared. I tried to push it all away, to focus on us. But the more I tried, the more I realized how much I had changed. And when Mark came to town, I couldn't resist seeing him again. I needed to understand what I was feeling. We walked in silence for a while, the weight of her words hanging between us. I struggled to reconcile the woman I knew with the one who had been unfaithful. Do you still love him? Jessica stopped and looked at me, her eyes filled with sorrow. I don't know. What I do know is that I love you, Tom. I love the life we've built together. I want to fix this, to find a way back to each other. I took a deep breath, trying to steady my emotions. I want that too, Jess, but it's going to be hard. I know, she whispered, taking my hand. But I believe we can get through this, one step at a time. As we walked back home, hand in hand, I realized that this journey would be long and painful. But for the first time since this nightmare began, I felt a sliver of hope. We were still standing, still fighting for our love. And maybe, just maybe, we could find a way to heal. The days turned into weeks as Jessica and I navigated the fragile terrain of our fractured marriage. We tried to rebuild our connection through open conversations and time spent together. But the shadow of her affair with Mark loomed large over us, a constant reminder of the trust that had been broken. One evening, Jessica suggested we attend a local dance class. It might help us reconnect, she said, her eyes hopeful. I hesitated, memories of her dancing with Mark still fresh in my mind, but agreed. Maybe it would be a way for us to find common ground again. The dance studio was a cozy space, filled with warm lighting and the soft hum of music. The instructor, a cheerful woman named Grace, welcomed us and introduced us to the basics of ballroom dancing. As we began to move, I felt a strange mix of awkwardness and nostalgia. Jessica had always loved dancing, and seeing her now, I was reminded of the joy it once brought her. We started with simple steps, holding each other close as we moved to the rhythm. At first, it was stiff and uncomfortable, but slowly we began to find our footing. Grace walked around, offering gentle corrections and encouragement. You two have a natural chemistry, she remarked at one point, smiling warmly. I forced a smile in return, wondering if she could sense the tension beneath our practiced moves. As the class progressed, we began to relax. There were moments when it felt like old times, when we laughed at our mistakes and shared fleeting glances that spoke of familiarity. But there were also moments when the weight of our situation pressed down on me, making it hard to focus. During a break, Jessica took my hand and led me to a quiet corner. Thank you for doing this, she said softly. It means a lot to me. I nodded, squeezing her hand. I want to try, Jess. I really do. She leaned in and kissed me, a gentle, tentative kiss that spoke of hope and regret. As we pulled back, I saw the tears in her eyes and felt my own heart ache. When the class resumed, Grace announced that we would switch partners to practice different styles. My heart sank as I watched Jessica pair up with another man, his hands on her waist, their movements synchronized. I tried to focus on my new partner, but my eyes kept drifting back to Jessica. Seeing her dance with someone else, even in this innocent setting, stirred a mix of emotions in me. Jealousy, fear, but also a strange sense of acceptance. This was part of the journey, part of the healing. I had to trust that we could find our way back to each other. After the class, Jessica and I walked to the car in silence. The night air was cool and refreshing, a stark contrast to the warmth of the studio. As we drove home, I finally spoke. You looked happy tonight. She glanced at me, a small smile playing on her lips. I felt happy. It was nice to dance again, to feel that connection. I nodded, gripping the steering wheel tightly. We'll keep doing this then, if it helps. She reached over and placed her hand on mine. Thank you, Tom. I know this isn't easy for you. Nothing about this is easy, I replied, my voice thick with emotion. But if it means we can find our way back to each other, it's worth it. When we got home, we sat together on the couch, the silence between us comfortable for the first time in weeks. Jessica leaned her head on my shoulder, and I wrapped my arm around her, pulling her close. I'm sorry for everything, she whispered. For hurting you, for bringing this into our lives. I kissed the top of her head, my heart heavy but hopeful. I know, and I'm sorry too, for not seeing how much you needed something more. But we're here now, and we're trying. That's what matters. As we sat there, holding each other, I felt a small spark of hope reignite within me. The road ahead would be long and challenging, but for the first time, I believed we had a chance. We were dancing on the edge of a new beginning, and with each step, we moved closer to finding ourselves again. Despite our efforts to move forward, the tension between Jessica and me was palpable. The dance classes provided brief moments of connection, but the unresolved pain of her affair with Mark lingered in every corner of our home. I couldn't shake the feeling that there were still secrets between us, unspoken truths that needed to come to light. One evening, after another emotionally charged dance class, Jessica suggested we go out for dinner. We chose a quiet, intimate restaurant on the edge of town. As we sat down, the soft candlelight casting a warm glow over our table, I decided it was time to confront the lingering doubts in my mind. Jess, there's something I need to ask you, I began, my voice steady, but filled with uncertainty. She looked up from her menu, her eyes reflecting a mix of curiosity and apprehension. What is it, Tom? I took a deep breath, summoning the courage to voice my fears. Are there still things you haven't told me about your time with Mark? Jessica's eyes widened slightly, and she set her menu down, folding her hands in her lap. Why do you ask that? Because I can't shake the feeling that there's more to the story, I admitted. I need to know everything if we're going to move forward. She sighed, a deep, resigned sound, and nodded slowly. You're right, there is more, and you deserve to know. I leaned forward, my heart pounding in my chest. Tell me. Jessica took a moment to collect her thoughts, her gaze distant as she delved into her memories. After the festival, when Mark and I started seeing each other in secret, it wasn't just about the dancing or the connection we felt. It became something more intense, more consuming. I clenched my fists under the table, bracing myself for what was to come. How so? We would meet whenever he was in town for performances, she explained, her voice trembling. Sometimes we would spend entire weekends together. It wasn't just physical, Tom. We talked about everything, our dreams, our fears, our lives. He made me feel seen, understood, in a way I hadn't felt in years. Her words cut deep, but I forced myself to listen. Did you ever think about leaving me for him? Jessica shook her head vehemently. No, never. I was confused, yes. I felt things for Mark that I didn't understand, but I never wanted to leave you. I love you, Tom. I always have. Then why? I asked, my voice cracking. Why did you let it go on for so long? I was scared, she admitted, tears streaming down her face. Scared of what it meant, scared of facing you, scared of losing everything we had. I thought I could handle it, that it would pass, but it only got more complicated. I leaned back in my chair, trying to process everything she was saying. The depth of her betrayal was staggering, but so was the depth of her remorse. Is it over now? Yes, she said firmly. It's been over since the night you found us together. I haven't seen or spoken to Mark since. I want to rebuild what we have, Tom. I'm committed to making things right. I stared at her, my emotions a whirlwind of anger, sadness, and a faint glimmer of hope. This isn't something we can just fix overnight, Jess. It's going to take time, and it's going to be painful. I know, she whispered, reaching across the table to take my hand. But I'm willing to do whatever it takes. I want us to heal, together. As I looked into her eyes, I saw the sincerity of her words, the regret and determination. It would be a long road, fraught with challenges, but for the first time, I felt we were both ready to face it head-on. We finished our dinner in relative silence, the weight of our conversation hanging over us. But there was a new sense of clarity between us, a mutual understanding that the only way forward was through honest communication and unwavering effort. When we got home, Jessica and I sat on the couch, holding each other close. The secrets were out, the truth laid bare, and though the wounds were still fresh, there was a sense of relief in having nothing left to hide. "Thank you for telling me," I said softly, my voice barely more than a whisper. "Thank you for listening," she replied, her arms tightening around me. "We'll get through this, Tom, together." As we held each other, the darkness of the past began to fade, replaced by the faint light of a new beginning. The journey ahead would be long and arduous, but for the first time, I believed we had the strength to face it together. 2 months had passed since Jessica's full confession, and while the road to rebuilding our relationship was rocky, we were making progress. The dance classes had become a regular part of our routine, helping us reconnect and rediscover the joy in each other's company. However, there was one lingering shadow that needed to be confronted: Mark. I needed to face him, to understand the man who had nearly torn my life apart. One evening, after our dance class, I turned to Jessica. "I need to see Mark," I said, my voice resolute. She looked at me, surprise and concern etched on her face. "Are you sure, Tom? What will that accomplish?" "I need closure," I replied. "I need to see him, to look him in the eye and understand why this happened. I need to hear it from him." Jessica nodded slowly, her eyes filled with understanding. "I can reach out to him if you want. Arrange a meeting." "Please," I said, squeezing her hand. "I need this." A few days later, Jessica told me that Mark had agreed to meet. We chose a neutral location, a quiet cafe downtown. The day of the meeting, my nerves were on edge. As I walked into the cafe, I spotted Mark sitting at a corner table, a cup of coffee in front of him. He looked up as I approached, his expression a mix of apprehension and calm. "Tom," he said, standing up and extending his hand. I hesitated for a moment before shaking his hand. "Mark," I replied, taking a seat across from him. We sat in silence for a few moments, the tension between us palpable. Finally, I broke the silence. "I need to understand why this happened. Why Jessica? Why my wife?" Mark sighed, running a hand through his hair. "I don't have a simple answer, Tom. When I met Jessica at the dance festival, there was an instant connection. It wasn't something I planned or wanted to happen, but it did. We shared something special, something I hadn't felt in a long time." I clenched my jaw, trying to keep my anger in check. "And you thought it was okay to pursue her, knowing she was married?" "No," he said quickly. "I knew it was wrong, but I let my feelings get the better of me. I was selfish. I didn't think about the consequences, about how it would affect you or Jessica." I leaned forward, my eyes boring into his. "You didn't think? Or you didn't care?" Mark looked down, shame written all over his face. "I cared, Tom, more than you know. I hated myself for what I was doing, but I couldn't stop. I was in too deep." "So what now?" I asked, my voice steady. "What are you going to do to make this right?" Mark met my gaze, sincerity in his eyes. "I'm leaving town. I've already told Jessica, and she agreed it's for the best. I need to give you both the space to heal, to move on without me in the picture." I nodded slowly, the weight of his words sinking in. "I appreciate that," I said finally. "But understand this. If you ever come near her again, I won't be so understanding." Mark nodded, his expression somber. "I understand, and I'm truly sorry, Tom, for everything." We sat in silence for a few more moments before I stood up. "Goodbye, Mark." "Goodbye, Tom," he replied, watching as I walked out of the cafe. As I stepped into the cool evening air, I felt a sense of relief wash over me. Confronting Mark had been difficult, but necessary. It was a step toward closure, a step toward healing. When I got home, Jessica was waiting for me, her eyes filled with concern. "How did it go?" I pulled her into a hug, holding her close. "It went as well as it could," I said. "He's leaving town. We can finally start to move on." She sighed in relief, resting her head on my shoulder. "I'm glad. Thank you for doing this, Tom." "I needed to," I replied, kissing the top of her head. "For us." That night, as we lay in bed, I felt a sense of peace that had eluded me for months. The road to recovery was still long, but we were on it together. And for the first time, I truly believed that we would find our way back to each other. The shadows of the past were beginning to fade, replaced by the promise of a brighter future. With Mark out of the picture, a sense of calm began to settle over our lives. The tension that had once been ever present in our home started to dissipate, replaced by a tentative sense of peace. Jessica and I continued our dance classes, finding joy and connection in the shared rhythm of the music. One Saturday morning, Jessica suggested we take a day trip to the countryside. "It's been a while since we did something spontaneous," she said, her eyes bright with excitement. "Let's just drive and see where the road takes us." I agreed, eager for a change of scenery and a chance to focus on each other without the distractions of everyday life. We packed a picnic, grabbed a map, and set off, the open road stretching out before us. As we drove, the conversation flowed easily, reminiscent of the early days of our relationship. We talked about our hopes and dreams, our favorite memories, and the future we wanted to build together. The miles passed quickly, the landscape changing from urban sprawl to rolling hills and lush forests. By midday, we found a secluded spot by a lake, the water sparkling under the summer sun. We spread out a blanket and unpacked our picnic, enjoying the simple pleasure of each other's company. As we ate, I watched Jessica, her face relaxed and happy, and felt a surge of affection for her. Despite everything, I still loved her deeply. After lunch, we took a walk along the shore, the sound of the water lapping against the rocks soothing in its rhythm. We held hands, the silence between us comfortable and filled with unspoken understanding. "Do you remember our first date?" Jessica asked suddenly, a smile playing on her lips. I chuckled, nodding. "How could I forget? We went to that tiny Italian restaurant, and you spilled red wine all over my shirt." She laughed, the sound warm and familiar. "I was so embarrassed. I thought you'd never want to see me again." "But I did," I said, squeezing her hand. "And here we are, all these years later." Jessica's expression grew more serious as she looked out over the lake. "I'm so grateful for you, Tom. For everything. I know I've made mistakes, but I'm committed to us, to making things right." I stopped walking and turned to face her, taking both her hands in mine. "I know, Jess, and I'm committed to us too. We've been through a lot, but we're still here, still fighting for each other. That means something." She nodded, tears glistening in her eyes. "It means everything." We stood there for a moment, the breeze gently rustling the leaves around us before I pulled her into a hug. "We're going to be okay," I whispered. "We're going to make it through this, together." As we continued our walk, the weight of the past months seemed to lift, replaced by a renewed sense of hope. We talked about taking a dance trip together, perhaps to another festival where we could create new memories. The idea excited both of us, a symbol of the fresh start we were working toward. When we returned home that evening, we were both exhausted but happy. We settled on the couch, Jessica resting her head on my shoulder as we watched a movie. The comfort of being together without the cloud of infidelity hanging over us was a balm to my weary soul. Over the next few weeks, we continued to focus on rediscovering each other. We went on dates, tried new activities, and spent quiet evenings talking about everything and nothing. The trust between us was slowly rebuilding, brick by brick, as we opened up and allowed ourselves to be vulnerable. One night, after a particularly enjoyable dance class, Jessica surprised me with tickets to a dance show in the city. "I thought it would be fun to see some professionals," she said, her eyes twinkling with excitement. "Maybe we can learn a few new moves." I smiled, touched by her thoughtfulness. "That sounds perfect." The night of the show, we dressed up and headed to the theater, the atmosphere buzzing with anticipation. As we watched the dancers glide across the stage, their movements graceful and precise, I felt a deep appreciation for the art form that had brought us closer together. After the performance, we walked through the city, the streets alive with people and lights. Jessica took my hand, and we found a quiet spot to sit and talk about the show. Her enthusiasm was infectious, and I found myself caught up in the joy of the moment. "Thank you for this," I said, leaning in to kiss her. "Thank you for coming," she replied, her smile radiant. "I love you, Tom." "I love you too, Jess." As we sat there, the city lights reflecting in her eyes, I realized how far we had come. The journey was far from over, but we were on the right path, moving forward together. The future was uncertain, but for the first time in a long time I felt hopeful. We were rediscovering each other, and in doing so, we were rediscovering the love that had always been there, waiting to be rekindled. As the days turned into months, Jessica and I continued to rebuild our relationship with cautious optimism. Our days were filled with small, meaningful moments, shared laughter, quiet conversations, and the rediscovery of our connection. Despite the progress, there was still an underlying tension, a sense that we were walking on a fragile path, navigating uncharted territory. One weekend, Jessica suggested we take a short vacation to a nearby coastal town. "It's been a while since we've had a change of scenery," she said. "I thought it might be good for us to relax and recharge." I agreed, appreciating the chance to escape the routine and spend some quality time together. We packed our bags and set off for the charming town, known for its picturesque views and laid-back atmosphere. The coastal town was everything we needed, a peaceful retreat with sandy beaches, cozy cafes, and scenic walking trails. We checked into a small, quaint bed and breakfast with a view of the ocean. The first morning, we woke up to the sound of waves crashing against the shore, a soothing backdrop to our getaway. After breakfast, we spent the day exploring the town, strolling along the beach, and visiting local shops. We found a charming bookstore, where we spent hours browsing and picking out books for each other. The simplicity of these moments reminded us of the joy in spending time together without the weight of past troubles. On the second evening, we decided to have a romantic dinner at a seaside restaurant. The setting was perfect, a candle-lit table with a view of the sun setting over the ocean. As we enjoyed our meal, the conversation flowed effortlessly, and I couldn't help but feel a renewed sense of hope for our future. After dinner, we took a walk along the beach, the moonlight casting a soft glow over the sand. The air was cool and crisp, and the sound of the waves provided a calming soundtrack to our stroll. We walked in silence for a while, simply enjoying each other's presence. Eventually, Jessica stopped and turned to me. "Tom, I've been thinking." "About what?" I asked, my curiosity piqued. "I want us to start looking forward, to think about the future and what we want to achieve together," she said. "We've been so focused on healing and moving past the pain, but I think it's time to start dreaming again." I smiled, feeling a surge of hope. "What do you have in mind?" She took a deep breath, her eyes sparkling with excitement. "I've been thinking about taking a dance trip together. We could visit different places, experience new cultures, and immerse ourselves in dance. It could be a way to reconnect and create new memories." The idea was exhilarating, and I felt a sense of anticipation at the thought of embarking on such an adventure with Jessica. "That sounds amazing," I said. "Let's start planning." Jessica's face lit up with a radiant smile. "I'm glad you think so. I want us to create new experiences, to build something positive from all of this." As we continued our walk, we talked about potential destinations, exploring ideas and possibilities. The prospect of traveling and experiencing new things together filled us with excitement and a renewed sense of purpose. The next day, we visited a local art gallery, where we admired the paintings and sculptures on display. The gallery was a testament to creativity and expression, and it inspired us to think about how we could infuse more creativity into our own lives. In the days that followed, we continued to enjoy our vacation, making the most of the time we had together. The coastal town provided the perfect backdrop for us to relax and reconnect, and by the end of the trip, we felt refreshed and hopeful. Returning home, we began to make concrete plans for our dance adventure. We researched destinations, mapped out our itinerary, and started to prepare for the journey. The process of planning together was invigorating, and it gave us a sense of purpose and excitement. Our life together was still a work in progress, but the trip had reignited our sense of adventure and possibility. We were learning to navigate our new reality, finding joy in the small moments, and looking forward to the future with optimism. As we prepared for our upcoming dance trip, I realized that we were not just healing from the past, we were building a new foundation for our future. The road ahead was still uncertain, but with each step, we were rediscovering the strength of our love and the promise of a brighter tomorrow. Our preparations for the dance trip were well underway, and excitement was building as the departure date approached. We meticulously planned our itinerary, selecting cities known for their vibrant dance scenes and rich cultural experiences. Jessica and I were eager to embark on this adventure, believing it would be a chance to not only reconnect, but also to discover new dimensions of our relationship. Finally, the day arrived. We set off for our first destination, a city renowned for its historic dance traditions. The journey was filled with anticipation and a sense of adventure. As we landed and made our way to our hotel, the excitement between us was palpable. Our first evening in the city was spent exploring a local dance festival. The atmosphere was electric, with performers showcasing a range of styles from traditional folk dances to contemporary choreography. Jessica's eyes sparkled with enthusiasm as she watched the dancers, her love for the art form reignited by the vibrant energy around her. We spent the next few days immersing ourselves in the city's dance culture. We attended workshops, where we learned new techniques and styles from talented instructors. Each class brought us closer, as we navigated the challenges of learning together and celebrated our progress. One memorable afternoon, we visited a historic dance theater known for its grand performances. As we toured the venue, I could see the awe in Jessica's eyes as she imagined the elegant performances that had taken place on the stage. We attended a performance that evening, the artistry and skill of the dancers captivating us both. Throughout the trip, our conversations were filled with excitement about the new experiences we were sharing. We talked about how the trip was not just about dancing, but also about rediscovering each other and building new memories. We enjoyed leisurely walks through the city, savoring local cuisine and exploring hidden gems. One night, as we strolled through a picturesque park, Jessica took my hand and stopped to look at me. "Tom, this trip has been incredible. I feel like we're really reconnecting, like we're finding something new in each other." I smiled, feeling a deep sense of contentment. "I feel the same way. This journey has brought us closer, and I'm grateful for every moment we've shared." She leaned in and kissed me, the tenderness of the moment reflecting the depth of our renewed connection. "Thank you for doing this with me, for being open to this adventure." I pulled her close, my heart full. "Thank you for suggesting it. This has been exactly what we needed." As we continued our travels, we visited different cities, each offering its own unique dance experiences and cultural highlights. We danced in historic ballrooms, attended local performances, and even participated in impromptu street dances. Each new experience strengthened our bond, allowing us to rediscover the joy and excitement of being together. In one of the cities, we took a day trip to a scenic vineyard. The rolling hills and lush vines provided a tranquil escape from the bustling city life. We enjoyed a wine tasting and a romantic picnic, the peaceful surroundings giving us time to reflect on our journey and our future. As the trip neared its end, we found ourselves in a reflective mood. We had experienced so much together, and the trip had provided us with a renewed sense of purpose and connection. The challenges of the past seemed to fade as we looked forward to the future with hope and optimism. On our final evening, we returned to the city where it all began, the place where we had first set out on this journey of renewal. We attended a grand dance gala, a fitting end to our adventure. The performance was breathtaking, a celebration of the art form that had brought us closer together. After the gala, we took one last stroll through the city, the lights twinkling around us. We stopped at a quiet spot overlooking the skyline, the beauty of the moment reflecting our own sense of renewal. Jessica turned to me, her eyes filled with emotion. "Tom, this trip has been more than I ever imagined. I feel like we've rediscovered each other, and I'm so grateful for that." I took her hands in mine, feeling a deep sense of connection. "I feel the same way, Jess. This journey has been incredible, and it's shown me how strong our love is. We've come so far, and I believe in our future together." As we stood there holding each other close, I knew that this trip had been more than just a getaway. It had been a chance for us to reconnect, to heal, and to build a new chapter in our lives. The road ahead would still have its challenges, but with the renewed strength of our bond, we were ready to face whatever came our way. Back home, the rhythm of daily life resumed. But the experiences of our dance trip had left a lasting impact on both of us. Jessica and I had returned with a renewed sense of purpose and a deeper connection. Our shared adventure had not only rekindled our relationship, but also inspired us to embrace the future with optimism. As we settled back into our routine, we began to incorporate the lessons and experiences from our trip into our lives. Our dance classes became more meaningful, infused with the new techniques and styles we had learned. We continued to explore new forms of dance, experimenting with different styles and pushing each other to grow. One evening, as we sat together reviewing our plans for the future, Jessica brought up an idea she had been considering. "Tom, I've been thinking about starting a dance program for couples, something that combines the joy of dancing with the chance for people to reconnect and strengthen their relationships. I looked at her intrigued. That sounds like a fantastic idea. How do you envision it working? Jessica's eyes lit up with excitement as she explained her vision. I want to create a program where couples can come together, learn new dance styles, and engage in activities that help them communicate and connect on a deeper level. It would be a way for them to experience the joy of dance while also working on their relationship. The more she spoke, the more I could see the potential of her idea. It wasn't just about dance. It was about bringing people closer together and helping them build stronger connections. I think it's a wonderful idea, Jess. I'd love to help you make it a reality. Over the next few months, we worked together to develop the program. We researched existing dance programs, consulted with experts, and designed a curriculum that would combine dance instruction with relationship-building exercises. We also created a website and marketing materials to promote our program. As the launch date approached, we were both excited and nervous. It was a new venture, and there were many uncertainties, but we were driven by our passion for dance and our desire to help others. The first session of our dance program was a success. The participants were enthusiastic and engaged, eager to learn and connect with their partners. We led them through various dance routines, incorporating elements of communication and teamwork. The feedback was overwhelmingly positive, and many couples reported feeling closer and more connected by the end of the session. Seeing the impact of our program was incredibly rewarding. It was fulfilling to know that we were helping others experience the joy and connection that had become such a vital part of our own relationship. As we continued to run the program, Jessica and I found ourselves growing even closer. Working together on something we were both passionate about strengthened our bond and deepened our understanding of each other. We learned to navigate challenges and celebrate successes, drawing strength from our partnership. One evening, after a particularly successful session, we sat together reflecting on our journey. Jessica took my hand and looked at me with gratitude. "Tom, I can't believe how far we've come. This program has been more than I ever imagined, and it's brought us even closer." I squeezed her hand, feeling a deep sense of fulfillment. I feel the same way. Our journey has been incredible, and I'm so grateful for everything we've shared and accomplished together. As we moved forward, we continued to embrace new experiences and opportunities. Our dance program grew, attracting more couples and gaining recognition in the community. We also made time for our own adventures, exploring new cities and trying new activities. Our relationship, once tested by the challenges of infidelity, had emerged stronger and more resilient. We had learned to communicate openly, to support each other through difficult times, and to celebrate the joy of being together. The future was still uncertain, but with the strength of our renewed connection, we faced it with confidence and hope. Our love had been tested, but it had also been transformed, and we were ready to embrace whatever lay ahead. As we looked toward the future, we did so with a sense of excitement and anticipation. We knew that there would be challenges and obstacles along the way, but we were committed to facing them together. The lessons of our journey had taught us the importance of love, trust, and resilience, and we were ready to continue writing our story, hand in hand. As the months passed, the dance program continued to thrive, and Jessica and I found ourselves deeply immersed in our new venture. The satisfaction of helping other couples strengthen their relationships through dance was immense, and it had become a central part of our lives. One afternoon, while we were preparing for an upcoming session, Jessica received a phone call. I watched as her expression shifted from curiosity to concern. She ended the call and turned to me, her face pale. "It's Mark," she said, her voice trembling. "He's back in town." My heart sank at the news. Mark's return was unexpected and unsettling, and I could see the anxiety in Jessica's eyes. "What did he want?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. "He said he wanted to talk," Jessica replied. "He didn't give much detail, just that he needed to clear the air." I took a deep breath, feeling a wave of emotions, anger, confusion, and fear. "Do you think we should meet with him?" Jessica hesitated before nodding. "I think we need to. We've come so far, and I don't want any unresolved issues to affect us." I agreed, and we arranged to meet Mark at a local cafe. The thought of facing him again was unsettling, but I understood the importance of addressing this matter head-on. On the day of the meeting, we arrived at the cafe early, choosing a quiet corner where we could have some privacy. Mark arrived a few minutes later, looking older and wearier than I remembered. He greeted us with a nod and took a seat. We exchanged pleasantries before diving into the reason for the meeting. "So, Mark," I began, trying to keep my tone neutral. "What's going on?" Mark took a deep breath before speaking. "I wanted to apologize for everything that happened. I know I hurt both of you deeply, and I've had time to reflect on my actions. I realize now how wrong I was and how much damage I caused." Jessica and I exchanged glances, the weight of his words sinking in. "I appreciate your apology," I said, trying to keep my emotions in check. "But what do you want from us now?" "I'm not expecting anything," Mark said, his voice earnest. "I just wanted to make amends, to acknowledge the hurt I caused. I've been working on myself and trying to understand my mistakes. I wanted to show you that I'm taking responsibility for my actions." Jessica's eyes were filled with a mix of emotions. "It means a lot that you're owning up to your mistakes, Mark. But we've worked hard to rebuild our lives and our relationship. I hope you understand that we need to move forward." Mark nodded solemnly. "I understand. I just wanted you to know that I'm truly sorry and that I'm committed to making positive changes in my life." We talked for a while longer, discussing the impact of Mark's actions and how it had affected all of us. As the conversation drew to a close, there was a sense of closure that had been missing before. When we left the cafe, Jessica and I walked in silence, processing the encounter. "How do you feel?" I asked after a while. Jessica took a deep breath. "I feel a sense of relief. I'm glad we were able to have that conversation and that Mark took responsibility for his actions. But I also feel that it's important for us to focus on our future and not let the past overshadow our progress." I nodded in agreement. "I feel the same way. We've worked hard to rebuild our relationship, and I don't want anything to derail the progress we've made." That evening, as we prepared for another session of our dance program, I felt a renewed sense of purpose. The conversation with Mark had brought closure, allowing us to move forward without the burden of unresolved issues. It had reinforced the importance of trust, communication, and commitment in our relationship. As we danced together, the rhythm and connection between us felt more profound than ever. We were reminded of the journey we had undertaken and the strength we had found in each other. The challenges of the past had shaped us, but they had also taught us valuable lessons about love and resilience. We had faced adversity and emerged stronger, and now we were ready to embrace the future with confidence and hope. In the months that followed, we continued to build our dance program, helping more couples find the joy and connection that had been so instrumental in our own healing. We remained focused on our relationship, nurturing the trust and love that had become the foundation of our lives. Our story was one of renewal and growth, a testament to the power of love and the strength of the human spirit. As we looked to the future, we did so with a sense of optimism and gratitude, knowing that we had faced our challenges together and emerged stronger than ever. With Mark's apology and our commitment to moving forward, a new chapter began in our lives. The dance program flourished, bringing joy and connection to many couples who sought to strengthen their relationships. For Jessica and me, it was a period of growth, not just as individuals, but as partners who had faced and overcome significant challenges. One crisp autumn morning, we decided to take a break from our busy schedule and visit a nearby park for a leisurely stroll. The colorful foliage and cool air provided a refreshing change of pace. As we walked hand in hand, we talked about the future and our dreams for the dance program. "I've been thinking," Jessica said, her voice filled with excitement. "What if we expand our program to include a retreat? A weekend getaway where couples can immerse themselves in dance and relationship-building activities in a more relaxed setting." The idea intrigued me. That sounds like a great way to deepen the experience for the couples who join us. It could be a chance for them to focus fully on their relationship without the distractions of daily life. Jessica's eyes sparkled with enthusiasm. "Exactly. We could create a program that combines dance workshops, group discussions, and individual time for reflection. It would be an opportunity for couples to connect on a deeper level and rejuvenate their relationship." We spent the rest of the day brainstorming and planning, sketching out ideas for the retreat and discussing potential locations. The prospect of creating something new and meaningful was invigorating, and it felt like a natural extension of the work we were already doing. As we continued to develop the retreat concept, We also made time for ourselves. We took weekend trips to explore nearby cities, enjoyed quiet evenings at home, and celebrated the small victories of our program. Our relationship continued to strengthen, and we found joy in the everyday moments we shared. One evening, after a particularly successful session of our dance program, we celebrated with a quiet dinner at our favorite restaurant. As we sat across from each other, savoring the meal and the company, I felt a deep sense of contentment. "This has been such a fulfilling journey," I said, reaching across the table to hold Jessica's hand. "I'm so grateful for everything we've accomplished together." Jessica squeezed my hand and smiled. "Me too. We've come so far, and I feel like we're in such a good place. I'm excited about the future and all the possibilities it holds." We continued to work on our retreat plans, finalizing details and securing a beautiful location in the countryside. The retreat was designed to be a blend of dance, relaxation, and personal growth, offering couples a chance to immerse themselves in the experience. As the date of the first retreat approached, we were filled with anticipation. We had carefully crafted the schedule to include dance sessions, group activities, and individual reflection time. We wanted to create an environment where couples could truly focus on their relationship and leave feeling renewed. The retreat weekend arrived, and the response from the participants was overwhelmingly positive. The couples embraced the experience, engaging fully in the activities and connecting with each other in meaningful ways. Jessica and I led the sessions with passion and dedication, drawing on our own experiences to guide and inspire the participants. By the end of the retreat, the feedback from the couples was heartwarming. Many shared how the experience had deepened their connection and provided them with new tools for nurturing their relationship. It was incredibly rewarding to see the impact of our work and to know that we were making a difference in the lives of others. As we packed up and prepared to return home, Jessica and I reflected on the success of the retreat and the journey we had undertaken. We had faced challenges, but we had also found strength, resilience, and a renewed sense of purpose. The future was bright, and we were excited to continue our work and explore new opportunities. Our relationship had been tested, but it had emerged stronger and more vibrant than ever. We had learned to embrace the rhythm of life, finding joy and connection in every step of our journey. As we drove home, the landscape outside the window bathed in the soft glow of sunset. I felt a deep sense of gratitude for the path we had traveled. We had rediscovered each other, built something meaningful, and embraced the future with open hearts. Our story was one of transformation and renewal, a testament to the power of love and the resilience of the human spirit. We were ready to continue dancing through life hand in hand, with a renewed sense of purpose and a heart full of hope. The success of the retreat marked a new milestone in our journey, and Jessica and I felt more connected and inspired than ever. Our dance program was flourishing, and the positive feedback from our participants filled us with a sense of accomplishment. The retreat had not only strengthened our bond, but also given us a clearer vision for the future. As we settled into our new routine, we began to think about how we could further our impact. Our experiences had shown us the transformative power of dance and connection, and we were eager to explore new avenues to share that gift with others. One evening, while we were relaxing at home, Jessica brought up an idea that had been on her mind. "Tom, I've been thinking about expanding our program to include online workshops. We've seen how much our in-person sessions have helped couples, but what if we could reach even more people by offering virtual classes?" The idea intrigued me. That could be a great way to make our program more accessible to couples who can't attend in person. We could create a series of online workshops and resources that couples can use at their own pace. Jessica's eyes lit up with excitement. Exactly. We could offer a range of topics from dance techniques to communication exercises. It would be a way to reach couples in different locations and provide them with the tools to strengthen their relationships. We spent the next few weeks developing the online program. We designed a series of modules that included video tutorials, interactive exercises, and downloadable resources. The content was crafted to be engaging and informative, providing couples with practical tools to enhance their relationship. As we worked on the online program, we also continued to run our in-person sessions and retreats. The balance between the two allowed us to reach a wider audience and offer different options for couples seeking to connect and grow. The launch of our online program was met with enthusiasm. Couples from various locations signed up, and we received positive feedback about the accessibility and quality of the content. It was rewarding to see our vision come to life and to know that we were making a difference for couples beyond our immediate reach. One sunny afternoon, as we prepared for a new online session, Jessica and I took a moment to reflect on our journey. We had come so far from the challenges we had faced, and our efforts had led to meaningful growth and impact. "I can't believe how much we've accomplished," Jessica said, her voice filled with wonder. "It's amazing to see how far we've come and the difference we're making for others." I nodded, feeling a deep sense of pride. It really is. Our journey has been incredible, and it's been so rewarding to see our work helping others find joy and connection. As we continued to build and expand our program, we also made sure to take time for ourselves. We enjoyed quiet evenings together, weekend getaways, and moments of reflection. Our relationship remained the foundation of everything we did, and we cherished the time we spent together. One evening, while we were preparing dinner, Jessica surprised me with a small gift. It was a beautifully framed photograph of the two of us from our first dance retreat. The image captured a moment of pure joy, and the frame was engraved with the words, "Dancing through life together." Jessica handed me the gift with a smile. "I wanted to give you something to remind us of how far we've come and the incredible journey we've shared." I was touched by the gesture. "Thank you, Jess. It's a beautiful reminder of everything we've accomplished and the love that has guided us through." As we continued our work and embraced new opportunities, we knew that our journey was far from over. The future was filled with possibilities, and we were excited to explore them together. Our story was one of transformation, resilience, and growth, and we were ready to face whatever lay ahead with confidence and hope. The horizon was wide open, and we were eager to continue our dance through life, hand in hand. Our love had been tested, but it had emerged stronger and more vibrant than ever. With each step we took, we knew that we were building a future filled with promise, connection, and joy. The months following the launch of our online program were busy and fulfilling. Our reach continued to grow, and the positive impact on couples across the country was a constant source of encouragement. Jessica and I were deeply immersed in our work, balancing the demands of the program with the joy of seeing our vision come to life. One late afternoon, as we were preparing for a new series of online workshops, I received an unexpected call from an old friend, Michael. He was a well-known event organizer and had been involved in various high-profile projects over the years. His call was both surprising and intriguing. "Tom, it's been a while." Michael's voice came through the phone, warm and familiar. "I've been following your work with the dance program, and I'm really impressed. I'm reaching out because I have a proposal that I think you and Jessica might be interested in." My curiosity was piqued. "What's the proposal?" Michael explained that he was organizing a large-scale event focused on personal growth and transformation. The event would feature various workshops, speakers, and interactive sessions. He wanted Jessica and me to lead a special dance segment as part of the event's lineup. "It's a unique opportunity to showcase your program on a larger stage," Michael said. "It would give you exposure to a broader audience and potentially bring new opportunities your way." Jessica and I discussed the offer, and it quickly became clear that this could be a significant chance for us to reach more people and further our mission. We agreed to participate and began preparing for the event, which was set to take place in a few months. As the event date approached, we poured our energy into creating a memorable and impactful segment. We designed a dynamic dance workshop that would highlight the transformative power of movement and connection. We also prepared a presentation that would explain the benefits of our program and share some of the success stories from our participants. The day of the event arrived, and the atmosphere was electric. The venue was a sprawling convention center filled with attendees eager to explore new ideas and experiences. We arrived early to set up and get a feel for the space, excited and a bit nervous about the opportunity. When it was finally time for our segment, we took the stage in front of a large audience. The energy in the room was palpable as we began our workshop. Jessica and I led the participants through a series of dance exercises, focusing on the themes of connection, trust, and expression. The response from the audience was overwhelmingly positive. The participants were engaged and enthusiastic, and it was clear that our message was resonating with them. We saw couples connecting on a deeper level, and individuals experiencing the joy of movement and expression. After the workshop, we received numerous compliments and expressions of gratitude from attendees. Many were eager to learn more about our program and how they could incorporate the principles we had shared into their own lives. The event was a resounding success, and it opened new doors for us. We were approached by several organizations interested in collaborating with us on future projects, and the exposure led to an increase in sign-ups for our online program and upcoming retreats. As we left the event, Jessica and I felt a profound sense of accomplishment. The opportunity to share our work on such a large scale had been both exhilarating and rewarding. It reaffirmed our belief in the impact of our program and the importance of our mission. That evening, as we celebrated our success, we reflected on the unexpected turns our journey had taken. From the challenges we had faced to the opportunities that had come our way, we had learned to embrace each moment and find joy in the dance of life. The future was filled with possibilities, and we were excited to continue our work and explore new avenues for growth and connection. Our journey had taught us the value of resilience, passion, and the power of unexpected opportunities. As we looked toward the horizon, hand in hand, we knew that the dance of life was a continuous journey, one filled with surprises, challenges, and moments of profound joy. We were ready to embrace whatever came next, knowing that together we could navigate the rhythm of life and continue to make a positive impact on the world around us. With the momentum from the recent event, Jessica and I found ourselves energized and inspired. The exposure had opened new opportunities, and we were excited to continue expanding our reach and impact. Our dance program continued to thrive, and the feedback from participants reinforced our belief in the transformative power of what we were doing. One evening, as we were reviewing our goals and planning our next steps, Jessica brought up a new idea. "Tom, I've been thinking about creating a scholarship program for couples who might benefit from our program but can't afford it. I want to give more people the opportunity to experience the joy and connection that we found through dance." The idea struck a chord with me. It aligned perfectly with our mission and the values we held dear. That sounds like a wonderful idea. It would be a way to make our program more accessible and reach even more people who could benefit from it. We began to develop the scholarship program, setting criteria for eligibility and deciding on the application process. Our goal was to make it as inclusive and impactful as possible, offering support to couples from diverse backgrounds and circumstances. As we launched the scholarship program, we were overwhelmed by the positive response. Couples from various walks of life applied, sharing their stories and expressing their desire to strengthen their relationships through our program. It was heartwarming to see the enthusiasm and hope that our initiative inspired. We selected a number of deserving couples to receive scholarships, and their participation in our program was incredibly rewarding. We saw firsthand the positive impact it had on their relationships, and it reaffirmed our belief in the importance of giving back and making a difference. In addition to the scholarship program, we continued to work on expanding our online offerings and exploring new partnerships. Our goal was to create a lasting legacy of connection and growth, helping as many couples as possible experience the transformative power of dance and communication. One afternoon, as we were reflecting on our journey, Jessica and I took a walk in the park, enjoying the serene beauty of the changing seasons. The crisp air and vibrant colors were a perfect backdrop for our thoughts and conversations. "I've been thinking about how much our work has evolved," Jessica said thoughtfully. "We started with a simple idea and have built something that's making a real difference. I'm so grateful for everything we've accomplished and the lives we've touched." I nodded, feeling a deep sense of gratitude and pride. It's been an incredible journey. From the challenges we faced to the successes we've achieved, I'm amazed at how far we've come. Our work has brought us closer together and allowed us to make a positive impact on others. As we continued our walk, we talked about our dreams for the future. We envisioned expanding our program to include more community outreach initiatives and exploring new ways to use dance as a tool for healing and connection. The legacy we wanted to create was one of love, resilience, and growth, a testament to the power of connection and the positive impact that can come from embracing life's challenges and opportunities. As we moved forward, we remained committed to our mission and to each other. Our relationship had been tested and strengthened, and we were excited to continue dancing through life, hand in hand. The future was bright, and we were ready to embrace it with open hearts and a renewed sense of purpose. Our journey had taught us the importance of love, trust, and resilience, and we were determined to build a legacy that would inspire others and make a lasting difference in the world. With each step we took, we knew that our story was far from over. The dance of life continued, and we were eager to see where it would lead us next. Together, we would face the challenges and embrace the joys, knowing that our love and our work were making a positive impact on the world around us.